Welcome everybody to the Hungaroring circuit just northeast of Budapest in Hungary. We're here for the JKeSport Tier 2 Round 18, the Hungarian Grand Prix. It should be an exciting one today. Hungary always provides lots of close on-track action. Strategy, weather, safety cars, all expected to be a factor tonight. We'll have to see how this thing begins to plan out. Just get everything set up. Got a few guys already setting up for the mediums. Looks like we have an Alpine making the first lap. That will be Boy Ford, coming off a solid result last week in Spain. Looking to follow that up. Hoping to get a weather update soon from the drivers in the paddock. But for now, we're getting set for qualifying. A few drivers already out on the mediums, which is the preferred race tire around the circuit. We'll have to see how that develops. I believe 13, 14 or 15 turns around the circuit. Very challenging, each one providing a different challenge. 2 DRS zones, although the second one is very short. Not a lot of room for overtaking, so that could play into the strategic hands for some of these guys. 35 laps, a lot of time, but through the technical sector 2, Boy Ford is going to be the first driver to set a lap. So once he gets back to the line, we'll go on board for a quick lap of the Hungaroring. A classic European circuit. So you can see the Alpine driver, Boy Ford, setting up his lap through the penultimate corner, making sure those tires are in the optimal window. And onto the main straight. Let's take a lap of the Hungaroring. So the pit straight, the best overtaking opportunity and the longest straight on the lap. Down to a heavy braking zone. We're going to brake just after the 100-meter board. Take a late apex at turn 1. Short shift to the third gear. Very tricky on the throttle there, but he does a good job. Down the second DRS zone. Downhill turn 2. Just before 50 meters, stay off that curb. You will spin. Try to go flat out through this section. Avoid the running wide there, and he does. Up to a challenging corner, turn 4. Very tricky to hit that apex and keep it within the limits. Looks like he runs a little bit wide, but gets away with it. Turn 5, another auto spin curb on the right. Another low traction zone. You see him making a little bit of a mistake there, but he seems okay. Turn 6 and 7, avoid the sausage curb on the inside. Does a good job. Into the technical sector 2 through turns 8 and 9. A little bit of traffic, but looks to be a pretty decent lap for the Alpine driver. Through turn 11 and down towards turn 12, 75 meters for the braking zone. I want to take as much curve as possible to minimize that lap time. And now this is just these last 2 corners, just about getting all the rotation possible through that car, and looks like he does a good job. So that's the first lap of Hungary. Let's see what the opening banker time will be. And it's going to be a 17.9 for Boy Ford, so that's going to be the first lap. Chris Money is going to be the next driver on the time. That's K-Dog out of the session. Looks like she had an incident in sector 2. But it's going to be Chris Money who's going to be next to cross the line for McLaren. He's had a bit of a downward struggle in the last couple of weeks, but looking to get back on track here today. Around the final corner, let's see what his lap time will be. It looks like he's backed off a little bit. So he puts in a 20.4, so not sure if he's going to try to go for a medium run or something else like that. Limchek going to be next to the other Haas. And he goes 17.7. That puts him top of the board. Silent Banshee mediums 17.4, so that's a very competitive lap time. I'm sure he'll be very pleased with that. Here's Spaceman through the final corner in the Williams. Next to set a time, and that's going to be a 26.1, so definitely some room to improve. Stephen A. making his move over from ESPN to his Tier 2 debut tonight for Red Bull. His opening lap of the session. Let's see if he can match his teammate Silent Banshee's pace. He goes second, 17.5 on the soft tire, so that's a good showing so far for the Red Bulls. As I say that, Silent Banshee's around. DeReal goes 7th, so definitely some room to improve there. A lot going on right now. Boy Ford is finishing up another lap, but he's not able to improve. Johnny starting a lap just behind, trying to keep all track of all the action. Here's Shelley on the mediums, a 24.8, so perhaps setting himself up for another run. Crusty T in the other Mercedes. On the softs, puts himself fourth, so fairly competitive in midfield, it looks like. Skadster is on an outlap just behind, as is Esso. So we'll jump back to Johnny here, I believe. Oh, that's actually Limchek going top of the board, a 17.3. That's a solid lap time right there. But we're tracking Johnny now through the middle sector. I believe he's the next driver on a flying lap. Very difficult section to be closing up on the back of another car, so hopefully that doesn't impede his lap too much. Seems to be alright through turn 12. Missed the apex a little bit, but still keeps it pretty clean. So looks to be a solid lap. This is on the medium tires, so we've seen already a lot of guys aiming for that alternate strategy. Let's see. Boy4 actually goes quickest, and Johnny goes even faster with the 17.1 on the medium tire. So the medium's actually looking fairly competitive, as Shelley now goes 17.2, just a bit off that. That's Sketcher. He's only starting a lap, so we'll check back with him later. We've got Essa, who's into Sector 3, finishing up a lap. So both the top two on the medium tires. We've seen some pretty competitive lap times on the mediums, which could be indicative of how this race is going to go. Here's Esso into the final corner. And up to the line. That's going to be fourth fastest. So that's a pretty good lap right there. I believe that's going to be Spaceman who's coming across. He's a few tenths up on his time already here. And he does improve, but not quite enough to jump himself out of 10th place. Trying to find the next runner on the lap. I think that's Skadster on the mediums. In the other McLaren. Through Sector 3. Taking a bit of a wide line to the final corner, but you can do that around here. And on the mediums, that's going to be a solid 8th place, so that's a pretty good time for the mediums. Gets himself into the top 10. It's interesting to know, Boy4, he said he's put 4 laps on this set of tires, so if he isn't able to top that time, he's going to be at a significant disadvantage coming into the race. Looks like we have the championship leader, S.E. Smith, out on track. Still just for his out lap, but he'll be facing some competition. He's got second and third in the points, also at the top of the timing sheets right now. So already under a lot of pressure, and the race has not yet even started. We've got Ray moving over to AlphaTauri this weekend. Going to be getting his opening lap of the session. Oh, very big snap of oversteer there, but he does manage to keep it up. Probably didn't lose too much time through there. Using all the track through turn 4, which is exactly what you have to do through there. Going through the chicane very nicely. Looks to be a very tidy lap, so I think this lap will be indicative of if the mediums are actually indeed the better tire. We can see most of the top 10 currently has fitted the mediums, although I don't believe all of them have set their best lap on the mediums, so the softs still can be pretty competitive, but they're not a very good race tire, which is going to put those runners at a disadvantage. Here's Ray out of the final corner. Jumps himself up to 9th, so another medium runner into the top 10, which is exactly what they want. S.C. Smith, we'll see what the championship leader can do. He's out on a set of softs, so should be a pretty competitive time. And he goes fastest. First driver into the 116s, the 116.9 for S.C. Smith. He's the championship leader for a reason. We knew he was going to be quick, but here's Banshees, 410s up. We might see another competitive time. And it's even faster, 16.6 for the Red Bull man. So the time's toppling like crazy here as this session wears on. So we've broken the 16 barrier, and then we have a wad of drivers in the 117th. So we only have 5 tenths separating Johnny in third from Ray in 10th, which is quite impressive at this stage of the session. Trying to track somebody who's on the lap. I think DeReal is just starting one for Aston Martin this weekend. He's currently sitting 12th on the soft tire, so he's going to want to improve that run a little bit, especially with how many runners in the top 10 are already on the mediums. We'll have to see what his Sector 1 split is. And it's going to be almost half a second up, so this could be yet another one of those drivers wedged in that 117 range. Things looking very competitive so far today. Tracking Limchak as well. I think he's just started a flying lap, so we'll, as well as I believe Krustier T. So we'll track on to those. DeReal up to 8 tenths up on his time, so this is looking on track for about a 17, mid 17. I'll have to see where exactly it lands him. Through the final corner now. And the flying, he only jumps to 11, so it was a mid-17, but he wasn't quite able to make up the difference he needed. Here's Krustier T through the middle sector. Only a couple tenths out, but that could be all he needs to jump quite a few positions. See 2.2 tenths there, the Sector 2 split. Runs a bit wide there, that could cost him a bit of time, but we'll have to see if he can keep it. Into the final corner now, taking wide entry, looking for that late apex. That's time he cannot improve, so we'll stay 12th for the time being. Limchak tucking back into the pits. Here's Esso, keeping it very nicely to the inside through there. And up to the line, he jumps himself up to second, so another 16.9. So the times seem to be improving here as we approach the end of the session. Here's Chris Money. He's actually down on his Sector 1 time, so he's got some time to make up. We do know that his last time he led off at the exit of the final corner, so he does have some time in hand. We'll see how far up he can move himself. Most of the field right now, we're just preparing for their final runs. We're tracking Chris Money through the final corner. Just about within the lines. Second place, so that's a very competitive 16.9. Look at that, just 3/100ths of a second separating second through fourth. This is a very competitive grid we have tonight, and you love to see it. So he's not pushing on his lap. So we just got a few drivers working on outlaps at the moment. I think Krustier T had finished another lap, moved himself up to 11th. So a solid lap for the Mercedes driver right there. Let's go along with our championship leader, SC Smith. On an outlap for the moment, but he's fitted the medium tires after doing his last run on the soft, so now he's looking to perhaps jump on that alternate strategy. We see quite a few drivers on that at the moment. Approaching the business end of this session, just under 4 minutes to go. Almost an even split between mediums and softs at the moment. And if we go to the tire they set their best lap on, you see only 3 drivers, or 4 in the top 10 have indeed finished their best lap on the mediums. But here's SC Smith. We know he has the pace to do it on the mediums. We'll have to see if he can put the lap together. Looks very clean through Sector 1. We'll see what the split is compared to his soft tire run. 3 tenths down, so not what he would have wanted. We'll have to see if he decides to keep pushing at the end of the lap or abandon it. Oh, and he's invalidated Sector 2. That is not what he would have wanted. He's going to have no choice but to back off now. Here's Boyflor also on the mediums, and he said He's running a bit wide there. Luckily, he's going to have enough time to go for another run, but he's going to want to beat that last time because that was on a very worn set of tires, which he's not going to want to have to start the race on. Silent Banshee, I believe he's going to be the next driver to start a flying lap. Finishing up his out lap at the moment. I think that's S.C. Smith actually going to go again. But we'll track Silent Banshee, who's the provisional pole sitter at the moment, by nearly 3/10. He's shown some pretty consistent pace throughout the season. We'll see if he can find himself in set for another pole position here. Still over 2 minutes to go, so a lot can change, but he's got himself pretty comfortably clear at the top. Through the Sector 1 split, very marginally up on his previous time, so could see an even better lap coming up. See most of the field starting to go out for the final run of the session. We're also watching S.C. Smith. He's currently pushing on that set of medium tires. But here's Banshee over 2/10 up through the first two sectors. Going to be a very tidy lap. That's Boyfor out of the session, so he will have to start the race on that old set of sauce if he can stay in the top 10. But here's S.C. Smith around the final corner. He cannot improve. Can Banshee improve? And he does. That's 16.3. So a very solid lap time right there. Esso is starting a lap just behind, as well as Ray in the Alpha Tauri. Limchak finishing up a lap on the softs, very marginally up to see if he can improve through Sector 3. He does. Puts himself 5th fastest. Johnny is next. He's well up on his time as well. He goes to 16.3, just off of a Banshee's time. So those two very marginally close to each other. Just 1/100th of a second separating them. Scatster next. He's on the set of the mediums, going through Sector 3 at the moment. The Real just behind, also on the mediums. And he jumps himself up to 9th, so that is a good lap. The Real has headed into the pits. So where's Shelly the Turtle? He's going to be next. He's invalidated. Lucky he's given himself just enough time to go back again. Spaceman next to Cross. He's going to start a lap. I think he might be the last driver to get a lap in. Here's Stephen A through the final 2 corners. He's well up on his previous best. Let's see if he can improve this time around. He does. He jumps himself up to 3rd, so another driver into the 16s. I see Smith finishing up. Let's see if he can improve. The clock has hit 0s. He cannot, so he stays 6th fastest. I believe that is a soft tire run as well. Where's Crusher T? He's finished. He's not going to be able to get back to the line. Esso the next to Cross. He's up on his time. He jumps up to 3rd. 16.7. Ray going to the top at 16.1. Time jumping like flies. Limchek stays 8th fastest. See, I believe Shelly is pushing as well as Scatzer, so we're tracking both. Ray has jumped to the top, provisional pole at 16.1, so time's getting faster and faster. Scatzer is well down on his time, so we're going to go on board with Shelly. He's 8/10 up through the first 2 sectors. Could we see him snag provisional pole right at the death once again? There's a few guys just behind him as well who could have a chance. I think that's Spaceman who's going to be finishing up a lap as well, and that's going to be it. But here's Shelly out of the final corner. What time is it going to be? And it's a 16.1, so Shelly goes top. Just edges out Ray. Here's Spaceman. Can he improve? And he does, but it's not going to be enough, so he'll stay 14th fastest. And that is going to be it for this session. Very exhilarating. I think we had about 6 different drivers on provisional pole. But in the end, the top 8 all on within the 16s. And we have Chris Money and Scatzer who set their best up on the mediums. Chris Money will be starting on the alternate strategy. But what an exhilarating session we had. Yeah, Kaz, sometimes that's how it goes. It can get very tight at the end with the timing, but that's unfortunate sometimes. We'll take one more look through the final results. Shelly the Turtle nabbing pole position right at the death with a 1:16.1. Ray will start on P2. Silent Banshee P3. Then Johnny in 4th, SO is 5th. Stephen A will start 6th in his debut. Chris Money 7th on the mediums. SC Smith is 8th. Limchek is 9th. Aboyfor is 10th. He will have to start on that worn set of softs. Skadster 11th. Crustier T 12th. DeReal is 13th. Spaceman 14th. VTech 15th. And the Kaz and K-Dog will round out the field. So it should be an exciting one tonight. We'll be right back in a couple minutes for the race. Alright, looks like we're about set to go here from beautiful sunny Hungary. Looks to be perfectly clear skies, at least for the start of this race. Does not mean we will stay that way, but looks to be a clean start for this grid of 17 tonight. All set for the formation lap. We'll get things set up. We'll take one more run through the grid. Shelly the Turtle is on pole, followed by Ray alongside. Then it's a Banshee and Johnny in row 2. SO will start 5th in the Alfa Romeo. Stephen A is starting 6th in his Tier 2 debut. Chris Money 7th. He's on the medium, so looking to aim for that one stop no matter what. SC Smith, championship leader, is in 8th. He's got his championship rival, Shelly the Turtle, on pole, so he's got some ground to make up here. Limchek is 9th on the softs. And we saw Boyfor, he set multiple laps on this set of softs during the qualifying session, so we'll have to see how that affects his race strategy. He starts 10th. Outside the top 10, Skadster 11th on the mediums, as well as Crustier T in 12th. DeReal 13th, electing to go for the soft, so bold starting strategy. We'll have to see if that pays off for him. Spaceman in 14th, he is on the medium tires to start tonight. VTech 15th, going for the hards. Kaz 16th with the hards as well, and K-Dog coming in 17th with the medium tires. So it should be a fun one tonight. Strategy, safety cars, rain could all play a could all play a hand in determining the winner tonight. It's a fairly long run down to turn 1, and it's a very tight braking zone in apex, so hopefully we don't see any drama or collisions through there. But it's going to be Shelly the Turtle leading them away down to turn 1. The back of the grid out of the final corner now. A lot of questions will be answered after 35 laps of the Hungaroring. Hoping to get a better camera angle for the second. Here we go. 3, 4, and 5 lights. And we're off here from the Hungaroring. Looks to be a pretty good start from Shelly. It's a good start from Banshee as well on the second row. No, that's Johnny on the inside, but Banshee as well going to get past Ray on the outside. Can he hold on to it into turn 1? There's Stephen A going through the middle, a little bit of contact. I think that's Skadster's had to run wide. Chris Money making up positions, as well as SC Smith nearly 3 wide down into turn 2. There's Esso up the inside of Stephen A. A little bit of contact in turn 2, but they all make it through somewhat okay. More contact, S.C. Smith and Scatzer. Somehow they survived it through there. Is anybody going to be side by side with turn 4? There's Shelley way out in front. Everybody seems to have made it through cleanly. Very intense start to the race, but everything is looking clean so far. Here's VTEC looking to the inside of Dereel, but not going to be enough room into turn 6. That is an overtaking spot, but it's not going to be an easy one. Crusher T and Dereel going side by side. Crusher T going to win out that, but he's going to go wide, so can Dereel fight back on the softs? I think he's going to be able to. Side by side, and Crusher T is going to have to yield. So a very nice move made there in a very interesting spot. That's Kaz, I think, running a bit wide. He's able to maintain that spot. VTEC under, but he wasn't able to find a way through. So a very clean first lap from these guys. We'll get back to the front. Shelly the Turtle still leads from Ray. Banshee has made his way up to P3. There's a yellow flag, and that is K-Dog who's gone for a spin in Sector 3. But it's Ray who's holding on to second. The top 4, as they were at the start. Stephen A up to 5th in his debut, is just outside the 1 second. S.C. Smith making a pass on Scatzer. That's for 7th place. Scatzer also on the McLaren teammate of Chris Money. So they're on the alternate strategy. We'll have to see if they can make that work. It's Boy 4 on the softs. He's managed to hold on to 10th for the moment. Dereel is just behind. Oh, and Stephen A's out of the race. He's gone for a spin at the exit of turn 3. That is a very tricky place on the track, and that is unfortunate for him. He was having some good pace already at the start of this race, but I think they're going to get that clean and back off, so we're not going to have a safety car to deal with. Here's Banshee in 3rd. He's just on the back of Ray. You see Limchek, he's making his way past VTEC, which is crucial because he's on the soft tires. He's going to need to make up as much ground as possible. But now, these top 4, they've managed to separate themselves a little bit from the rest of the field, especially with Stephen A having that issue at the exit of turn 3. But it's going to be Essa who's made his way up to 5th. 1.7 seconds is the gap. He's got S.C. Smith, who's up to 6th already. He's going to be hungry to get by. And he's going to get a good run here. Of course, no DRS yet. It will be enabled on the next time by. S.C. Smith, even without the DRS, I think he's going to have the move done. And he will, down into turn 1. Limchek making up another place past Crustier T. So the soft tires working well for Limchek and the Haas. We'll see if he can hold on to these positions, but he's made his way up to 11th, so that's a good start for him. S.C. Smith, now he's got a bit of clean air in front of him. He's got 2.2 seconds to make up to the guys in front. We know he has the pace to do it. Let's see if he will be able to. Very close gaps throughout the entirety of this field tonight. We'll get back to the leaders. Johnny and Banshee, they've been quite familiar with each other the last few weeks. Looking to be scrapping it out once again. Ray, he's had some good pace this season. He was the race winner in Portimao. Looking to close up to the back of Shelly the Turtle, who's currently 2nd in the championship. Needs a good result here. Scatzer's just lost 2 positions. First to his teammate Chris Money, and now Boy 4. So maybe a bit of a mistake there from the McLaren driver. Hanging on to 9th at the moment, but Dereel is just behind, and he's on a fresh set of softs. Of course, DRS will be enabled this time. So let's get back to the front, see if anybody will be able to capitalize. Here's Ray. He's got a good run. He's going to look to the outside into turn 1. I think he's going to have the move. Of course, he's going to have DRS again going down towards turn 2, so I think he will be able to hold on to it. But Banshee is in striking distance as well, but not quite going to be close enough. S.C. Smith, he posted the fastest lap of the race that last time by. He's closed the gap down within 2 seconds for a split second, but wasn't able to hold on to it. 3-way battle here for 8th at the time being. Dereel, he's made up a couple positions already off the start. We'll see if he can continue his charge forward. He's got Limchek behind, also on the softs, who's closing the gap, especially with this battle going on. Oh, is that Scatzer who's gone off? He's off into the gravel, so he completely missed the braking zone at turn 6. And he's going to lose out on a lot of spots. Crush Your Team, VTEC, oh, just about going to make it through. His car seems to be okay, but he's going to lose quite a lot of time, which is not what he would have wanted. So we'll get back up to this lead battle. So much going on at the moment. Ooh, very close through turn 14. Gap starting to spread out a little bit. Ray looking to have some good pace at the front, but as you see, putting the fastest lap of the race, but he was not quite able to break the DRS, which is absolutely massive. SC Smith, he's just lurking. He's just about within range. And here's Chris Money looking to the inside of Esso. Can he get the drive out of turn 1 to make it stick? They're going to be side by side. He's going to be on the outside into turn 2, but he's going to have enough to make the move done. And Esso will drop back to 7th, but he's still right there. Let's see if he can fight it back up to turn 4. It's not the best opportunity, and he's not going to be close enough. You have to wonder now if the medium tire is starting to become the better tire at the time being. Limchek is right on the back of Deville. They've fallen off a bit from Boyford, who's showing some good pace so far. But Limchek as well made up quite a few positions at the start, but he started to stall out at the moment. As it stands, we've got a bit of a 5-car breakaway at the front. Chris Money, gap is about 4 seconds. He's also on the alternate strategy. Take a look real quick while we have a second at the gap to leader. And this is the thing we got to consider with the pit stops, about a 20-second time off. So these soft runners at the front of the field, they're going to have to extend a little bit. Except Esso, he's going to take the chance on the undercut. But you see that 20-second gap would put you near the back of the grid. Esso and Limchek both in, so maybe going for the undercut because they're in the midfield. They can afford to make that stop and come back out in an area of the track where it's not so crowded. So going for a bit of an undercut here. We'll have to see where they come back out. I think they're going to be just behind Kaz. Luckily for them, in a bit of clean air. VTEC in 10th place on the hard tire. I believe it's starting to settle in for him. The first couple laps weren't good. Oh, is that Skedzer who had a bit of an off there? So not looking too comfortable so far, but he's managed to keep the car in one piece. But doesn't exactly look to have a good handle on things for the moment. Back to the front. SC Smith is now within DRS range of Johnny, who's actually dropped back behind that 1 second of Banshee in 3rd. But due to the nature of this track, A, it's going to be very difficult to pass, and B, that means that being within 1 second of somebody doesn't necessarily mean you'll gain time because of things like dirty air and not being able to have any room to overtake. But Ray, I believe he has cleared DRS from Shelley, and yes, he has. Now you see Boyford into the pits as well, so perhaps reacting to the undercut attempt from Esso, who's actually starting to close up to the back of Kaz, which is not going to be ideal for his strategy. Kaz, of course, on the hard tire, so he's going to be going an awfully long way into this race. VTEC making a move past Crustier T in turn 1. So finding himself up in 8th place for the time being. Boyford going for the medium tire, which is interesting, so perhaps committing to a 2-stop, because I don't think he can quite take the mediums 27 laps. And you see, he's come out just behind Esso, who is now behind Kaz, which is not going to be good. Limchek is going to be joining this battle as well. Oh, he's just about kept it out of the wall there. That was a big moment for him. He's managed to keep a hold of it. Banshee, he's been sitting in 3rd for the majority of this race. He's just on the back of Shelley now. Let's see if he can capitalize. If Shelley cannot be within that 1 second gap, he might be a bit vulnerable here. And she didn't get the best run out of the final corner. I don't think he's going to be close enough to capitalize. Crustier T conceding another place to Skadster, who's made his way back up to 9th. So having a bit of a nice recovery after those opening laps. SC Smith was very close to the back of Johnny, but he wasn't quite able to get through. These two, they've dropped off a bit from the lead group. But still looking very well. Chris Money is starting to make up some ground as well. Esso, he was able to clear Kaz, and now can Boyford get by as well into turn 1. There's yellow flag. That Spaceman who's gone for a spin. He's managed to not DNF it. But now Kaz has just lost out on 3 places in 2 straights. He is playing that long game though. So that's not the end of the world. He knows this is not his race. But that was absolutely crucial for those other three to make it through as soon as possible. Time penalty is starting to roll in at Hungary. Not the easiest track to avoid warnings, so I'd imagine we see quite a few more of those begin to pop up. But we'll have to see. And it looks like Banshee's going to be in as well as the entire top three. Johnny's going to go in as well, but S.C. Smith staying out. So a bit of an interesting strategy call here. DeRill's the last soft runner. Oh, and that is unfortunate. It's speeding in the pit lane. So DeRill's in as well. Shelley's going to the hards, as has Ray and Banshee. Going for a wing change, so he's picked up a bit of damage, which is going to be crucial. So everybody committing to the hard tire strategy, it seems. Nobody is going to the mediums. And Ray has come out just behind Krusty T, which is not what he would have wanted. He did gain quite a bit of time on Shelley in the pits, but he's going to have to clear Krusty T as quickly as possible. And Banshee's actually been jumped by SO, Boy4, and Johnny because of that wing change he had to go for. SO and Boy4 will likely have to come back into the pits, so it's not all lost for Banshee. Spaceman in as well. Luckily get a wing change. Lucky he is within window to take those hards to the end. Limcheck very close actually. But he wasn't close enough to make a move. You see Ray, he hasn't been able to get those hard tires heated up quickly enough to make a move past Krusty T yet. Which is only going to make things more difficult for him as we get into the latter stage of this race. SO and Boy4 scrapping away from 9th. As S.C. Smith does react and go into the pit lane. The last of the soft runners. I'm just going to hand the lead over to Chris Money. And I believe the net lead of the race over to Ray. Let's see if he can find a way past Krusty T this time. Interesting to note, we didn't see anybody attempting to go for the soft medium strategy. Which shouldn't be all that surprising. But here's S.C. Smith. He's going to rejoin just about where he came in. And he is going to be on one lap fresher hard tires than the rest of the field. Which could be key as we get to the end of this race. Here's Boy4. He's getting close to the back of SO. Is he going to go for it up the inside? They're side by side through turn 2. This is lovely stuff to watch, keeping it clean. Still side by side. Albon and Kvyat-esque. Up the hill towards turn 4. One of them is going to have to yield, and Boy4 is going to have to back out of that. Lovely stuff to see between these two. And this has allowed Banshee to close up as well as Limcheck. The rails on the back of Kaz for 13th place. Kaz still on that opening set of hard tires. Let's jump back up to this battle for 9th. Looks like he's still hanging out behind SO at the moment. But here's Ray trying to get past Krusty T. Krusty T is not going to let him have it. But here goes Ray to the outside. I think he's going to be able to make it stick, and he will. That is absolutely crucial. Shelly the Turtle was able to gain some ground through that. But now we might see a bit of Mercedes team orders as we go on. Boy4 and SO still so close. SO didn't get the best run out of turn 1. Now Boy4 to the outside of turn 2. Oh, SO a bit on the curb, and they're still side by side once again. Through turn 3, SO fighting back around the outside. That is a lovely defense. And he's going to hang on to 9th for the time being. So close through turn 4. Banshee is watching this, and he wants to get through as quickly as possible because he's losing ground to the leaders. So Banshee, you can see the gap to S.C. Smith from SO that is already over 6 seconds. So this is considerable loss of time for Banshee. Still a long way to go. And a lot of pit stops yet to happen. But here's Shelly now from the back of Krusty T. It's going to be imperative that he gets through this time by. Krusty T not going to, looks like he might just make that easy. So yep, bit of Mercedes team orders there. especially with Shelly the Turtle in contention for the championship, in good positions at the time being. SC Smith and Johnny are actually right on the back of this battle. There's the yellow flag. Is that for Kaz, who might have had a bit of an issue? Oh, and we've actually missed Boy 4 finding his way past Esso finally. But Esso's going to be fighting it back as they go up the hill. Thinks better of it. And that's actually DeReal, who's had a bit of an issue at the exit of turn 1. Oh, and there's limb check around and he's into the wall. He's somehow managed to not DNF. But he's going to have to limp an awfully far way back to the pit lane without a front wing. And Esso's had a bit of an incident as well because Banshee's made his way through. And Crusty T letting both SC Smith and Johnny through. So everything kicking off here on lap 13 of this race. SC Smith, he's going to want to get past Johnny, especially he knows Shelly is just ahead in the distance. But top 3 in the championship, 5, 6, and 7 at the moment. Here's SC Smith, he's got DRS this time. I think he's going to have a chance. He's going to go to the inside of turn 1. Let's see if he can make it stick. They're going to be side by side. And SC Smith is just going to have it. He's going to have DRS once again, so he will be able to hold on to that. So both Banshee and Boy 4 past Esso now. Scrapping it out for 9th, but Banshee has lost an awful lot of time on his other competitors. He is on the hard tires, though. So that is one thing he has. Another penalty for speeding in the pit lane, so it's a bit of a difficult pit lane to get right here at Hungary, and it's catching out quite a few guys already. Back to the front, let's rejoin with these top 3. All yet to pit. The Sketcher, he's had a bit of an up and down race, but he's managed to stick in 3rd place. It's just on the back of VTech. And he's going to have the net leaders of this race coming up behind him fairly shortly. Let's take a look at the gap to the leader. So Chris Money, we're approaching the medium pit stop window. He's got a bit of a gap between Crusty T and Boy 4 at the moment. So we'll have to see if they try to take advantage of that there at McLaren. Kaz into the pits. Likely to get that wing changed onto a set of softs. Wing check onto a set of hards. He was going to have to box again anyway, so not entirely bad. There's Crusty T in as well, so they're starting to get to the end of the medium stint. There's SC Smith pumping in the fastest lap of the race. Now he's got clean air once again. Let's see if he can run down Shelly just ahead. Now net P3 for the Ferrari driver and the championship leader. Skatster and VTech. This is going to be a nice little scrap here. Although the medium tires from Skatster are probably not the best at this stage. And you also have to factor the other AlphaTauri of Ray just behind. So this is going to be a bit interesting with the team orders perhaps coming into play. But you also have Skatster in the middle to complicate that. Banshee and Boy 4 are still scrapping out for 8th. Banshee's closed up that gap once again. He's going to want to get through and finally get to some clean air. Let's go back to this battle for a second. Which has also brought Shelly the Turtle into the mix. And it's going to be exactly what SC Smith wants, because these guys are going to be scrapping amongst themselves. Nobody's elected for the pit lane this time by. Looks like a good exit from VTech. Let's see if anybody can make a move into turn 1. I think Ray's going to be the closest, but Skatser's going to have the DRS, which is going to make things that much more difficult. Is he going to have a look around the outside? He might be able to set himself well into turn 2. He's got a much better exit. Nearly lost the back end. Both of them having DRS. Ray's going to take a look. He's going to try to get it through around the outside. This would be an absolutely massive move if he could get it done. And he should. What a move from Ray around the outside to turn 2. And now is Shelly going to be able to get through as well? Is he going to have to sit behind, which will be absolutely massive? Ray is the net leader, so Shelly's got to get through. And the other benefit for Ray, now VTech and Ray can play a bit of team orders if they can get it right, which will allow them to set themselves up. Oh, their Skatster having a bit of a moment over the curbs. And Shelly's not able to take advantage of it. Now he will be able to. But that's going to cost him a little bit of time. SC Smith is going to be next. He's starting to close that gap. Banshee's dropped off a little bit and he's fallen back into the clutches of Esso. This is the battle for 9th. Through Sector 2 now. Let's get back to the leaders. I think we might see an AlphaTauri swap here down the main straight. As Scatzer got back through on Shelly the Turtle, so not sure what was up with that. As you see the AlphaTauri here, this should be a straightforward move. It wasn't so straightforward. VTech not quite making it easy, but Ray will get through. Shelly did make it past Scatzer, so not sure. Might have made a mistake through Sector 3 and ended up having to regain that position. But SC Smith is now within DRS range of these two. They've fallen off a bit from the AlphaTauri's ahead. So we're starting to get into the second stage of the pit window for these one-stoppers, where those medium tires for the McLarens and K-Dog are going to start to be a bit of a struggle. Not quite close enough anywhere through the field. Lots of tight battles. Johnny's actually made his way. He's able to maintain that gap with SC Smith this whole time, which is dragging himself back up into this battle for the net podium. So this is a nice little three-way scrap right here for fifth. And these guys have actually dropped out of the DRS into Shelly, which is not what Smith and Johnny want to see behind. Scats are actually going to induct into the pits. Oh, nearly ran a bit wide, but that's going to free up these two. And imagine we'll see Chris Money into the pits the next time by as well. We'll have to see what position he will end up in. But the majority of the grid onto the hard tires now as we approach the halfway point of this race. Oh, Banshee and Boyko are actually battling here through turns 1 and 2. Banshee to the inside. He's not quite going to be able to make it stick. SO around the outside. Had a look, but had to back out. Now he's going to have to wait for the next opportunity. That was a bit of a tense moment there. These three have been scrapping it out for a long time. And they all managed to come in through cleanly once again. So this has been fantastic racing for all these guys. And now Shelly's close up to the back of VTech. VTech on a bit of older set of hards. Those are still the tires he started the race on. So we should see Shelly through quickly. And he's going to want to do that as fast as possible to avoid letting Smith back in contention for this. Out of the final corner. Shelly had a bit of a moment here, but I think he's going to be able to have a shot at VTech. Going down towards turn 1, this is going to have to be a big send, and he's going to have to hold off. It just was not quite close enough. He was able to use that DRS to pull a bit of a gap to SC Smith, but he's going to lose that all through Sector 2 if he can't make it through here. Around the outside into turn 2, a very nicely done move. Oh, and he's gone off into the wall. Shelly the Turtle into the wall, and that is absolutely massive for the championship. Second place in the title fight. Off into the wall, and he's going to surely have wing damage because of that. You can see lots of downforce, and that's actually Boyko and Banshee both out of the race. They've come together there. Now there's a safety car, and this changes things massively. A perfect break for Chris Money in the McLarens, and everything all kicking off here in the second half of this race. And the safety car is out. So turn 3, it's a very tricky part of the track. And we have our first safety car, which is going to be absolutely massive. You already see that some of the drivers at the back of the grid taking advantage, and all of the leaders. Chris Money's gotten out, and I think he may be able to maintain the lead. VTech picking up a huge 5-second penalty. SC Smith is going to stay out on the set of hards. I think that's an interesting call, considering everybody else has gone in for a fresh set of tires. We know how key track position is going to be here. But SC Smith will maintain the race lead. Chris Money is going to be second on the fresh set of hards. So this has worked out beautifully. He took that medium stint longer than he had to extended, and it worked out with the safety car. And now Chris Money finds himself in beautiful second place. Ray's in third. He's gone in and back out on the fresh set of mediums, able to maintain third position as well. VTech fourth place on the fresh set of mediums. He did pick up that 5-second penalty in the pits. Skadster in fifth. He came back in and put on a set of hards. Oh, and he's gone for a spin. He's managed to keep it out of the wall, but he's going to lose a couple positions there. There's Johnny and Shelly going through. Oh, keep that off the wall. Luckily, I think even if he would have to pit, he wouldn't lose much time. But anyway, VTech fourth, Johnny is fifth, Shelly sixth, SO seventh, all on the medium tire. So we'll have to see how the different strategies playing out. Skadster, he's back up into 8th. Crush UT up to 9th. DeReal is 10th. Spaceman 11th. Limchak 12th. Haydog 13th. Kaz has actually fallen a lap down. Took that opportunity to pit onto the mediums, and his teammate staying out has trapped him a lap down. He's going to be back into the pit. But SC Smith stayed out on that last restart. Got the track position. He is on a slightly older set of hards, but with how important track position is around here, I think this could be a pivotal moment in this race. Chris Money, he extended that opening stint perfectly and got the break he needed. And now with 15 laps to go, he's in second place. So we've got 16 laps to go at the moment. We've got quite a few drivers who are still catching up to the field, so we should have at least another lap or two under the safety car. Spaceman is back into the pits, going onto a set of medium tires to take to the end. So taking the opportunity to do that, he's going to come back out in 13th, but should be able to join back up. Let's take a quick look at penalties while we have a second. So a handful of drivers with a couple 3 seconds, and VTech with that 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Johnny was able to serve that 5 seconds that he picked up earlier in the race. So VTech, he will have to serve that if we have another safety car and they decide to pit. Or at the end of the race, which could be absolutely massive. But most of the field on a fresh set of tires, split between mediums and hards. SC Smith, the only driver to stay out under that last safety car. We're going to find out here just how valuable that track position will be. So I think that this will be the last lap under the safety car, so we're going to restart with 14 laps to go. It's been a thrilling race so far. Lots of good battling throughout the field. And looks like we will be able to get back underway, so SC Smith, the race leader, it's going to be absolutely massive to get a good launch off the start. These runners all in fresh tires. Keeping those tires warm under the safety car is going to be huge, especially for Chris Money on a set of hards. Those notoriously difficult to keep warm. We've got Ray and VTech just behind in the AlphaTauris. All these medium runners are going to want to clear as many positions as possible, though I don't think they're going to have much of an advantage over SC Smith. As confirmation, the safety car will be in this lap. So we're going to restart with 14 laps to go. Approaching the 2/3 mark of this race. "13 drivers remain on the lead lap with the contention of winning this race." Here we go. Let's see when S.C. Smith decides to gun it, if anybody can take advantage of the restart. Through turn 15, looks like we're back underway here at the Hungary ring. Looks like a good start from everybody. Ray gets a nice launch up the inside of Chris Money. It would be absolutely huge if he can make this stick into turn 1, but of course no DRS. He's going to try to go for it anyway. They're side by side. And Ray's going to squeak by just about. VTech of Hungary is well for a position, but not quite close enough. I think we saw Limchak overtake Darrell near the back, but we're keeping our action at the front of the field here. Top 7 have pulled a little bit of a gap. Limchak making up another position on Skadster. Everything all tight throughout the field. Side by side, Darrell and Skadster. So Skadster having a bit of an issue. There goes K-Log around the outside of turn 4. Skadster, you can see missing that right end plate. So he's going to have to come back into the pits. He's had a very tumultuous race so far. Let's get back up to the leaders. Very tight throughout the midfield. S.C. Smith, he's already cleared that 1.6 second gap due to Ray having to overtake Chris Money. That was absolutely massive for Ray, and he's now cleared a gap to the rest of the medium runners. Owen Skadster's having a bit of an issue again through the middle sector. He should be able to limp his way back to the pit lane and keep things underway. Oh, there goes Chris Money into the wall. I mentioned it before, those fresh hard tires going to be a bit cold. Luckily, right at the moment to get into the pits, but that is going to be very disappointing. He had played the strategy to perfection. And now that leaves both AlphaTauris back-to-back, second and third. Both McLarens actually in the pits. They're going to double stack here. So things going from bad to worse for McLaren, and even worse for Chris Money, but still, lots of time to make up for it. Here's VTech playing a bit of defense for Ray at the moment. Let's see if anybody can capitalize. Shelly the Turtle caught a bit of a break after that incident he had a few laps ago where he hit the wall. He's able to maintain 5th place and looking to get a bit more. His championship rival S.C. Smith is out in front, but Ray starting to close the gap. Those fresh mediums starting to show their pace, and he's back within 1 second. Let's see if he can capitalize here. Of course, no DRS for the first 2 laps on the restart. You can see Ray purple in the middle sector there. He made a very nice move to get past Chris Money. Let's see if he can find a way through on the championship leader, S.C. Smith. Putting in the fastest lap of the race. Let's see if he can have a look into turn 1. He's going to go for it, side by side. S.C. Smith's going to try to hang on. He's going to have a bit of a better run, but he's going to have to see the positions of Ray making 2 overtakes in as many laps, find himself back in the lead of this race, which is absolutely massive. And S.C. Smith, that's not what he would have wanted, because he's going to have to play defense, gambling on staying out on that old set of hards. It's not worked out for him. It's still a long way to go for him to fight back. Limchak, he's jumped his way up to 8th on the restart, so showing some good pace. Next up is Crustier T and Esso. Let's see if he'll be able to make his way through. Johnny and VTech getting very close to the middle sector. So S.C. Smith is going to be under pressure from these guys as well, which is absolutely what Ray would have wanted to see. I think he's going to be able to clear a bit of a gap here. Approaching the business end of this race. I'm checking. He's caught up to Crustier T. Let's see if he can find a way through. Perhaps waiting for the DRS straight to make his move. I think we will have DRS enabled this lap, and we won't see it in action until the following time around. Ray putting another fast lap. We actually do have DRS. Here's VTech approaching S.C. Smith. Is he going to be close enough into turn 1? You can see he's gaining to the inside and through. So AlphaTauri 1-2, although a bit of a mistake, and Smith is going to go for the switchback. Can he make it stick? VTech actually is going to hang on to the position. So it's an AlphaTauri 1-2. Johnny and Shelly going side by side through the exit of turn 2. Shelly had to yield. He was trying to make an opportunistic move. As you can see, SC Smith just ahead. So this championship battle, very close between all of these guys. So you can tell Shelly wants to get through. He had a couple looks, but there's just not enough room. And VTech being in second place and Smith in third, this is the perfect recipe for Ray. He's already stretched out a 2.5 second gap. Let's see if anybody can come out of this hornet's nest with a chance at the race win. Limchek to the inside across the T into turn 13. Can he make it stick? I think he will be able to. So Limchek making up another position. He had that spin just before the safety car was nearly out of this race, but he's now back up at 7th. He's looking very pacey. Could be on for a top 5 finish here. Back to the lead group. Don't think anybody's going to be quite close enough this time around. Esso, he's only 1.4 seconds back, so not quite out of contention as well. He's bringing Limchek with him. Pressure T not quite able to fight it back. But we're sticking with this battle for second as Ray has opened up the gap even further. Oh, there's a yellow flag. I think that's Kato who had a bit of an issue, but she seems to be okay. Johnny picked up a penalty as well, as I think SC Smith did as well, so that's going to start to complicate things as we approach the latter stages of this race. The field's starting to concertina together, with the exception of Ray, who's doing very well out in front at the moment. But just nobody able to make his way to find a way through. SC Smith still hanging on to third place at the moment. But I don't know if he'll be able to hang on because Johnny and Shelly behind him have shown very rapid pace. If he can maintain DRS from VTech, that would be absolutely huge. Let's see. And he does. So he might just be able to hang on to another position, although Johnny is closing fast, but he's not going to be close enough. Down to Krusty T, he can't quite close up to Limchek. Chris Money does get past Kadok, who is missing her left end plate. Back to this three-way battle. Or make it a four-way battle. It's just the nature of this circuit, so tight. Oh, Johnny making a bit of a mistake there. Shelly, he's looking to the inside, just a bit too far back to send it there. That's a very tough spot to go for it, but he's offset Johnny there. But again, just no room to capitalize. Not sure if anybody's going to have an opportunity. There's another yellow flag. That is, I think, Spaceman who's going for a spin. Seems to be okay. He's gotten it back up again. He's still hanging on to 10th. But we'll stick with this battle for the moment. SC Smith, all he's got to do is stay within that DRS range of VTech ahead. He should be okay, but here's Shelly. He got a much better exit out of the final corner. But you can see that DRS train, it's just doing enough to keep Johnny ahead. Is he going to go for it? He's going to look for it to the inside, side by side at turn 1. They're going to still be side by side. Johnny's going to have the inside for turn 2. Can Shelly make it stick around the outside? It is possible. And he's going to go for it. Still side by side through turn 3. Somebody's going to have to yield. Johnny's ran a bit wide, but they're still side by side up to turn 4. And Johnny finally decides that it's not worth fighting that, and Shelly squeezes through into 4th place. Very heart and throat moment right there. But he's done all that and managed to stick within DRS range of Smith, which is massive. Now 1-2 in the championship, right on each other's gearboxes in this race. Very enthralling to watch. Let's see if Shelly can capitalize on SC Smith now, or if Johnny will be able to fight it back. He seems to be a bit too far back here, but still 2 corners to go. Shelly looking very pacey through sector 3. You can to you, Smith. The grip is just not there at the final corner. Here comes Shelley in the Mercedes looking to the outside. Going to be side by side into turn one. Of course, both going to have DRS again through the second straight, but Shelley's going to have the advantage and makes it through to third place. So, pivotal moment in the championship. Shelley finds his way through up to third place. He would have made it through on penalties anyway, but now he's within shouting distance of VTEC ahead. And the win is not out of the question here for Shelley. Still a long way to go in this race. Johnny on the back of Smith as well. So those old hearts starting to give out on SC Smith. He took a gamble staying out, and it hasn't entirely backfired, but it's not paid off like he wanted it to. Limchak within DRS range of Esso now. This is for 6th. Alright, here we go. 6 laps to go. Shelley the Turtles battling with VTEC, and Johnny and Smith going side by side. Oh, very close down to turn 2. I think Johnny's just about going to come out of that one ahead, but that was very close. I think DeReal had a bit of a moment out of the final corner. He's managed to hang on to 9th place though. Shelley's still behind VTEC, and you can see the gap to the leaders now almost 5 seconds. So I think Shelley's going to have to get through now if he wants to have a chance, but I think he's going to have to settle for 2nd place in this race, which would still be a good result, especially with Smith dropping down the leaderboard. Limchak and Esso in his rearview mirror as well. Shelley's going to have to get by VTEC here. He's made a couple good moves in the last few laps, and I think he's going to have another one here. So VTEC doing the Alonso defense for his teammate, but Shelley is going to work his way through. 5.4 seconds the gap. But I don't think there's going to be enough time. Less than 5 laps to go in this race, and Ray has pulled out a very healthy lead. Limchak still hunting down Esso. We're going to switch over to the penalties here as we get to the end of this race. Chris Money getting past Spaceman for 10th place. Although penalties could play a factor in that battle. I'll have to wait and see. Johnny's starting to close up to VTEC as well. This is for 3rd. VTEC does have that 5-second penalty, so Johnny should be able to capitalize on that. Although most of the field at this point with some sort of penalty. Limchak's going to be within Esso's DRS range, and Esso not going to be close enough to Smith. So let's see if he can capitalize. He's quite a ways back, but he's within striking distance now. You can see how quickly he's closing. He might be able to set himself up, maybe into turn 2. He wasn't close enough that time. He forced Esso into a bit of a mistake. Not quite close enough. And while we were away, we saw Shelley lose out on a position actually to VTEC, which is massive because now that's pretty much given the race victory to Ray. As it stands with just 3.5 laps to go. VTEC does have that penalty, so losing out that position shouldn't be too much of an issue for Shelley. He's just got to bring it home and he'll have 2nd place. Limchak and Esso scrapping it out now for 6th. Limchak's got to get through now because he knows he's got that 6 seconds of penalties compared to the 3 for Esso. get back up to this battle for second. Johnny is right there as well, and he's fighting to stay within 2 seconds of VTech. That would be for the final podium position. Let's see that light flashing for VTech, but he's got a nice run out of the final corner. I think it's going to be just enough to keep these two behind, at least for the time being. It's yellow flag, and I think that's Skadstu's had a bit of a mistake. He's gotten it back going again though. Here we go, not quite close enough. And these guys are starting to run out of laps. Limchek's dropped just about out of the DRS range of SO. But he might be able to work back in before we get back down to the main straight. Right now the gap between VTech and Johnny only about a second, so he's got a second to spare if he wants to hang on. But SO and SO is on the back of SC Smith, and this is for 5th, so Smith is not going to want to lose out on any more positions than he already has. This is also going to give SO the advantage to defend against Limchek. Back up to this group as we approach the main straight. 2-1-2 at the time being, although that penalty is going to drop him quite a ways back. We'll have to see how it all shakes out at the end. Nobody able to make another move yet. And one more good opportunity for these guys as they head down to turn 1 on the final lap. Jump back up to the leader, Ray. We haven't talked about him too much on this final stint, but he's done a good job of just building that gap. He's got a very comfortable lead at the moment. He's just got to make it through without any more mistakes. One final time around the Hungary ring. We'll jump back to this battle as they go down the straight. Nobody really got a particularly good exit out of there. VTech looks to be defending well. Shelly going to try to set himself up probably for turn 2. Or if Johnny's going to be close enough, but just not quite. And that was the best opportunity. I don't think there will be any more chances. SO was close to SC Smith, but he couldn't quite get through. And Smith is going to drag those old hard tires up to what will end up being a 5th place finish. Things should stay as they are. Back up to the race lead, Ray. Through Sector 2 for the final time. He played the strategy to perfection in Portimao. Today it was just a good old-fashioned drive to the front. Some more penalties racking up. We'll have to see how that affects the finishing order. Into the final couple of corners now. It is going to be Ray bringing home the race victory here in Tier 2 at the Hungarian Grand Prix. Ray taking home the victory for AlphaTauri. Next across the line is going to be VTech for the other AlphaTauri, but it's actually going to be Shelly the Turtle who is going to take home 2nd. Johnny's going to pick home the final podium position. Here's SC Smith, 5th place, SO 6th, Limchek 7th, a very good recovery drive. Here's Krustier T. He's going to bring that home in 8th place, so a solid day for him in the Mercedes. Chris Money into real fighting out. Chris Money's going to have that 5-second penalty, so he's not going to be able to hold the position if he were to get through. So it's going to be DeReal bringing it home in 9th place. A good result for him in the Aston Martin. Chris Money 10th. Spaceman 11th, he had a couple incidents, but he did a good job of keeping it in one piece and bringing it home, and he's going to have a couple solid points haul. It's going to be 11th place for the Williams driver. A good result, and you see K-Dog and Kaz crossing the line 13th and 14th respectively. Skadster will be the 12th place finisher. He had some good pace early on, but a bit of misfortune has cost him, and he's going to bring it home in 12th. So fantastic race. Love the action we saw today. Thrilling race from start to finish. Don't always see that at Hungary, but very good driving from everybody. We'll take a quick look at the finishing results. And it is Ray bringing home the race win. Shelley second, Johnny, VTech, Smith, Esso, Libchek, Crusty T, The Real, Chris Money, Spaceman, Skazzer, K-Dog, Kaz, Boy4, Aunt Banshee, and Stephen A rounding out the field. That's all for Tier 2. We'll catch you for a few minutes in Tier 1.